Hey guys, so today I wanted to make a video that I've really been wanting to make for a very long time. I want to talk about 7Cups, which is a mental health support website. There's also some therapists on there, but that's more of their service that most people don't even use. This is really something I've been wanting to do because I used to use the service myself, and it's close to me because I've had my share of stories on there. I've made a lot of connections with people, and I really did have some nice friends on there. I also used to be a listener on there. I volunteered and I made sure to try and help people when I could. Of course, my own issues got in the way and I had to stop doing it. But the real reason I wanted to make the video is because there's a large number of issues with 7Cups, and all of this has kind of just been sitting in my head for the longest time. And I think I finally just want to talk about the issue with 7Cups. Now, before I actually keep going, I want to explain to those of you who don't know what I'm talking about what 7Cups actually is. So 7Cups is basically a mental health support website. Most people are going there to seek mental help, and so what they do is they search for a listener who is just any volunteer person who would like to listen to whatever problems this person has. And it's not therapy, it's not like, it's a paid trained therapist. It is somebody who gets quote-unquote training to be able to listen to what you have, and they're not allowed to talk about their issues, and they're not supposed to give advice. They're just supposed to be able to listen and help you feel better. And if you can't afford therapy, it doesn't sound bad on paper. Now, the whole issue with it is it's just not set up well. All the issues have never been addressed. I've had my share of issues, and even what I've experienced is nothing compared to most people. So I first want to talk about the actual listeners themselves. So you might be thinking, well, if you want mental help and you want to go to a website supposed to offer mental help, wouldn't you want somebody suited for that? And yes, and of course anybody can sign up to be a listener. They can be somebody that helps. Now, of course, there's the training. So you think, well, they're trained, right? Speaking from experience, the training process is very basic. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and all it basically says is don't give advice and don't be mean. But it's not really in depth. It doesn't really cover a lot of situations. Something I discovered as a listener is there's really big issues that people face, and the training really just kind of shoves it down and says it doesn't really, that's not going to be something you approach. But in reality, there's a lot of people in this world who have really awful situations, and you need to be ready to listen to it. There's a lot of people, as such, who aren't suited for situations like that and are expecting just basic things like breakups. I know from my experience, I've never actually used listeners because I think I've gone through about 50 or 60, and every single one of them had an issue, whether they just completely ghosted me at some point and never responded to me again, or maybe they responded to me for the first day and again ghosted me. Maybe they said, oh, maybe go to someone else, or sometimes they just didn't respond at all, even though they clicked the accept button on me. There are some people too that are also very uneducated as to what they should do as a listener. I've had listeners in the past who have actually started talking about their own issues instead of even letting me talk about my issues in the first place. One of the most fever dream incidences I had on there where somebody accepted it, and the first message I get is, "Hi, can you help me?" And I said, "No, can you help me?" And they said, "Well, I had a bad day." And I said, "Well, that's not what a listener is supposed to be for." And I showed them how to be a member. And it just felt really weird because it takes extra work to be a listener, and yet they found themselves right there. The whole situation with listeners is a big problem. It's not just me that thinks this, it's a real community-wide known problem. That aside, there are the group chats as well. For me, they helped a lot more at first. Now, I was very active in the group chats. I've actually made a lot of community contributions. I've made free profile pictures for everybody on one Christmas. I made some different links and pages for people on the website that the moderators didn't know how to use. I just helped out and I tried to do my best, and it's stuff that they use to this day. And the group chats used to be really good. When I first joined, it was really calm and people really were helpful. It was a lot better than listeners because members knew exactly what you were going through. They've gone through them themselves, and so they knew what to say. But when COVID hit, I don't think 7Cups was really prepared to really handle that mass amount of people. Now, there's a lot of issues I'm going to cover with the group chats. And there's many more, but I'm just going to cover the basics. I think the number one issue with the chats right now is people self-diagnosing, their own stuff, just going left and right, saying, I have this, I have that, or they're trying to seek attention. There's people just trying to seek attention. I see this all the time. I'll see someone who's having a really genuine issue, and they don't normally have this issue, and they need somebody to talk to. And maybe they might be talking with somebody, and then out of nowhere someone comes in and says, I'm feeling sad today. And when someone says why, it's because it's always not always, but it's sometimes just something really stupid, and you really had to just break up something that was really helping somebody else just because your mom took away your phone. I think stuff like that is really ridiculous, and it's just people really trying to seek attention on there. It doesn't help that they actually have like a system like points. Snapchat has a system like your Snap score in the same way that they have their score on there. And it just doesn't seem right. Why should you have a score on a website that's meant to encourage helping each other? You're not encouraging your own self-interest. And it's just a really bad situation waiting to happen. And that has happened. There's a lot of members on there too, ever since the whole COVID thing. Not many members on there really encourage other people to grow. They just care about them getting help themselves, and that doesn't really work. When you're trying to help each other in a group, you all want to help each other, but when you're only trying to help yourself, then it turns into a problem. Chats are also unorganized, and they're not suited for large crowds. When COVID hit, there would be days where the chats would be way too active and there weren't additional channels made. There's only about 3 or 4 channels that you really talk in, and they're all have for their specific purposes, but for the sake of this, we'll say there's 2, lighthearted and general like serious stuff. And so when you only have 2 channels with a bunch of people online talking in there, then you can see how that doesn't really help. That aside, there's also really poor moderation. And I think this is probably the biggest issue of all. I myself have had my own moderation problems. I actually got banned off the website. What happened is one day I put in my age wrong, and I found that out later down the line. And so I emailed them and had my birthday corrected, because they do separate age groups. Those who are under 18 talk with under 18, and those who are over 18 talk with over 18. I had my birthday corrected on my account, and I did make sure to check that when they did email me back. Eventually, I was moved to the 18+ chats despite still being 17. And I said something in the chats about why am I in the adult chat, and nobody was really helpful except for email them. And so I emailed them, and I don't get a response. I then get banned by some member of the moderation team permanently. I had both my listener account and my member account were terminated. This is all because I had something that was completely out of my control. I've emailed them twice about my ban and have not gotten a response. And even though I'm 18, to this day I am still permanently banned. This has happened to countless people on the platform. I've seen friends just get completely nuked off for just absolutely no reason. On the flip side, they don't seem to moderate issues that should be moderated. My best example is I had a really good friend that I made on there who really had run-ins with the same guy who was just really creepy and really awful. This person was always trying to make my friend really just feel as bad about themselves as possible. He was always just saying really awful things, purposely making them trigger flashbacks, and it's just an awful thing to do. Moderation had all those chats, and yet they didn't do anything about it until one day when they finally did, and he made an alt account. And this kept going on over and over. They never really bothered to investigate it, and they kept finally banning the alt account over and over. It's always, oh, they finally got banned, oh, they finally got banned. And eventually, my friend just gave up. I mean, this person just kept making alternate accounts, harassing them. There's no IP banning system. They just kept making alt accounts, and it's really sad to see. And that not only that it takes so long for each account to get banned because the moderation just simply is too burned out, or they just don't care. There's nothing even really set up on the website in general to handle moderation or just anything else. The website itself is missing a lot of key vital features for moderation, but really just for any community management in general. The website is really unpolished too, and just has missing features that the community can use as well. They say that they're open to feedback when that's really not true. They're not very open to feedback because they clearly don't even respond to emails, and when they respond to forum posts, it's very generic. Of course, they have their app as well, and the app is way worse. The app is very buggy and missing vital features that is included on the website. For example, you weren't able to change certain things about your profile, such as the language you wanted to use on the website and app, in-app. And to this day, I don't think you can unless they did change that. There are other things like that where it just didn't seem right. I remember when I also first swapped to the app, I had my language on Italian based on when I had the app before, and so I kept it in Italian, meaning it supported it. But also translation wasn't complete. Some areas were translated to Italian and others weren't. It got to the point where certain words and sentences were translated and other words in that same sentence would not be. It made it really jarring, and because I couldn't change it in app, it just was something I was stuck with and made it really hard to understand what some things in the app were saying. So yeah, that's basically my little rant about 7 Cups. And so Overall, if I have to give final words on it, I would say if you need help and can't get therapy, well, first off, get therapy if you can, because that's just a great way to do it. But if you can't, there's other services like 7Cups that are just much better. Oftentimes I redirect people to 7Cups because there are instances where it can benefit them and it's really accessible. And I think that's the good things about 7Cups, but all the bad things are the reasons why I would not recommend it entirely. And I really, really strongly urge that you search for something other than 7Cups. This video might be dated in the future. Maybe they fix all the problems, but until then, their problems are not fixed. They just really need to work on it. I just checked today and the website looks exactly the same as it was 2 years ago. Nothing has changed, no fixing moderation, no fixing group chats or listeners, everything is pretty much the same. To my knowledge, the whole website benefits from people who are completely distressed in their lives, and that's pretty messed up. I was denying this for the longest time in my life, and I think now is a good time to just finally accept that it was just not a good place to be. It helped me some at first, but after a while, because I couldn't support it, money was their first initiative, and it really started to hurt me and my friends. So yeah, that's all for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. You don't have to, but a like and or a subscribe is definitely appreciated. And I do also like to interact with you all in the comments, so feel free to drop something in there. All right, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.